सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. So the two pramanas that are left out are Arthapatti and Anupalabdhi. Arthapatti, as we have been mentioning already, is admitted by the Prabhakara school of Mimamsakas, Bhatta Mimamsakas, and also the Advaitins. Now, for the Advaitins at least, where is the need for admitting Arthapatti as a distinct pramana? The other day we made a mention that the Nyaya school does not admit three kinds of sadhetus: Anvaya Vyatireki, Kevala Anvayi, Kevala Vyatireki. These are the three types of hetus which we have been mentioning in the Nyaya system. And that Vyatireka Vyapti is one where you have the relation between two negative entities. And what does it help? For the Nayayikas, they say, when we speak of difference between two negative entities, he comes to the positive conclusion that the hetu coexists with the sadhya. This is what he says in a roundabout way. In the case of Kevala Vyatireki, if you take Prithvi itarebhyo vidyate gandhavatva, this gandhavatva which is present in Prithvi or which is exclusive to Prithvi, it helps to prove the existence of itara beda or difference of other objects in Prithvi, and that is done through Vyatireka Vyapti or the Vyapti between Sadhya Bhava and Hetva Bhava. And the Nayayikas also conclude that in those cases there is no Anvaya Vyapti at all. So as it appears, it gives rise to the notion that the hetu cannot prove the sadhya in the paksha on the basis of Anvaya Vyapti, because in such cases we do not have sapaksha or Anvaya Drishtanta at all. So in those cases we resort to Vyatireka Vyapti and then conclude that the hetu is capable of proving the sadhya. Now this roundabout way of explanation of proving the sadhya in the paksha is not admissible or is not admitted by the Advaitins. So the Advaitins go to the extent of admitting a separate pramana or distinct pramana to prove such instances of Kevala Vyatireki of the Nayayikas. If you look into the examples of Arthapatti, you will find that all such instances are only, or they belong only to the Kevala Vyatireki type of Anumana of the Nyaya school. Now, before we try to include it under, that is for the Nayayikas, there is no pramana called Arthapatti. They include whatever is arrived at through Arthapatti or presumption or postulation can be very well known through Kevala Vyatireki for the Nayayikas, whereas whatever that could be known through Kevala Vyatireki inference or Anumana has to be necessarily known only through Arthapatti or postulation for the Advaitins, Mimamsakas. Now before we try to understand how they include it, we must know what is Arthapatti. This Arthapatti is a term given to both the pramana as well as the prama. So all these days we have been seeing Anumiti Karanam Anumanam, means Anumana is the pramana and Anumiti is the resultant cognition. So there was a difference between the pramana and the prama which we arrive at. But in this case, both the pramana as well as the prama are referred to by the term Arthapatti. It only because, see the flexibility, the language, the structure of the language, that you are able to interpret this word Arthapatti. If you want to refer it to pramana, then it means arthasya apattihi. Means postulation of something. Apattihi means you are postulating some artha, some meaning, some artha. Yasmat, from which you are able to postulate something, then it refers to the karana. So arthasya apattihi yasmat, this is a kind of bahuvrihi samasa. So arthasya apattihi yasmat, that is arthapatti. Arthapatti pramana. And when it refers to the prama as such, it means arthasya apattihi, postulation of something. This refers to prama. Arthasya apattihi, arthapattihi. This is Shashti Tatpurusha. Arthasya apattihi, this is prama. And arthasya apattihi yasmat, that refers to the karana. So both the prama as well as the pramana acquires the name arthapatti, and you have to understand in which sense it has been used in the context. Now, what is the definition of arthapatti pramana? He gives upapadya jnanena upapadaka kalpanam arthapattihi. So see the words kalpanam, the word kalpanam, if it is used by a mimamsaka or an advaitin, it always refers to arthapatti pramana, whereas if the word is used by the nayayikas, then it means anumana pramana, because kalpanam is always had through postulation or the fancying or imagining something, is always had through arthapatti pramana for the mimamsakas and advaitins. So iti kalpyate, whenever this word occurs in any commentaries, by knowing the context, you have to find out whether it is mimamsakas or the nayayikas. So upapadya jnanena upapadaka kalpanam arthapattihi. So what is upapadaka? Upapadaka is the result. You are postulating something on the basis of something. This is the karana. So upapadya, the term upapadya stands for the karana or the instrument in arthapatti, and upapadaka is the result you arrive at from such an instrument. Now the usual example that is given for Kevala Vyatireki is Ratri Bhojana, where Devadatta's consuming food at night, that is being known through Kevala Vyatireki Anumana for the Nayayikas. Now for the Advaitins, they say, what is meant by Upapadya? This is the Karana, and for this they give a definition, Yena Vina Yad Anupapannam. The story of Devadatta eating at night we have been hearing for the past 2 days. So let me not repeat it. Yena Vina Yad Anupapannam Tat Tatra Upapadyam. Now what is Upapadya? What is the Karana of Arthapatti? What is Arthapatti Pramana? Yena Vina Yad Anupapannam. Anupapannam means unintelligible. Yena Vina, without which something is unintelligible. What is that which is unintelligible? Devadatta being fat becomes unintelligible. So Anupapannam means unintelligible. Yena Vina, without which something, some factor becomes unintelligible. Then Tatu Tatra Upapadyam. So Devadatta being fat, it does not become intelligible or it becomes unintelligible. without his taking food at night. So, yena vina, ratri bhojanena vina, without Devadatta taking food at night, ratri bhojanena vina, peenatvam anupapannam. Devadatta being fat does not hold good, or it is unintelligible. It becomes unintelligible. So, ratri bhojanena vina, peenatvam anupapannam. Tat yat anupapannam tat tatra upapadyam. So what do you understand by the word yat peenatva or Devadatta being fat? So without Devadatta taking food at night, his being fat cannot be accounted for. So that peenatva becomes the karana. That is called upapadya. Technically, it is called upapadya because that is how we have defined upapadya. So, peenatvam is the upapadya. Upapadya jnanena upapadaka kalpanam. So, what is it that is postulated in the present context? It is ratri bhojana or Devadatta taking food at night. So, we have concluded that peenatva is the arthapatti pramana or the instrument through which you are able to arrive at the conclusion that Devadatta takes food at night. Now, this is upapadya. Now, what is upapadaka? Yasya abhave यस्य अनुपपत्तिः यस्य अभावे यस्य अनुपपत्तिः तत् तत्र upapadakam. Tatra means in the case of arthapatti prama, that is considered to be upapadaka. Yasya abhave, yasya anupapattihi, something becomes unintelligible. Yasya anupapattihi, what becomes unintelligible is peenatva becomes unintelligible. Devadatta being fat becomes unintelligible. In the absence of what? In the absence of his taking food at night, peenatva or his Devadatta being fat becomes unintelligible. So, yasya abhave, yasya anupapattihi, ratri bhojanasya abhave, yasya anupapattihi, peenatvasya anupapattihi, tat yasya abhave, this goes with this. So, yasya abhave, yasya anupapattihi, tat tatra upapadakam. So, ratri bhojana is the upapadaka. So, what have you concluded? Peenatva is the instrument or the arthapatti pramana through which you come to the, you postulate that ratri bhojana or Devadatta takes food at night. So, ena vina yad anupapannam tat tatra upapadyam yasya abhave yasya anupapattihi tat tatra upapadakam. Now, this is arthapatti pramana. And this arthapatti pramana is of two types. Drishtarthapatti and Shrutarthapatti. We have to give, because we have to extend this arthapatti pramana both with regard to the sacred statements and the secular statements. So, arthapatti, it is of two types. Drishtarthapatti and Shrutarthapatti. Now, this can also be interpreted where you are hearing some statements and because of the unintelligibility in that particular statement, you are postulating something, then also it is called Shrutarthapatti. Shrutasya arthasya anvaya anupapatti mukhena arthantaram yatra kalpyate, that is Shrutarthapatti. Shrutasya arthasya means when you are hearing some statement, and if you find any unintelligibility in that statement, you postulate something, that is Shrutarthapatti. Drishtasya arthasya, when you are seeing something there is some unintelligibility and you postulate something. Now let us consider the example idam rajatam. This is silver. Shrutasya arthasya anvaya anupapatti mukena. Or anupapatti mukena. Shrutasya arthasya anvaya anupapatti mukena. Arthantaram yatra kalpyate. Anupapatti mukena. Arthantaram yatra kalpyate. Now see, this is Drishtarthapatti. Example of Drishtarthapatti is idam rajatam. Now you perceive shell as silver. You perceive shell as silver in the first moment, second moment, third moment it continues to be silver, or fourth also let it be silver. Now in the fifth moment, you have the Badaka Jnana or the sublating cognition. Nedam Rajatam. This is not silver. So, Idam Rajatam, what appeared to be silver, that is, shell appeared to be silver, and what appeared to be silver for 5 moments, for 4 moments rather, appears to be not silver. It appears to be something else. This is not silver. You have the Badaka Jnana or the sublating cognition in the 5th moment. So, silver appeared there for 4 moments. It is only in the 5th moment you have come to know that it is not silver, either of your own accord or somebody has instructed you, but you have come to know that it is not silver. So what do? In a substratum where you have seen silver, in this element where you have cognized silver for 4 moments, in the very same substratum, you are able to negate the existence of silver. Normally, if a pot exists on the floor, if it were to exist really, then at no point of time you could negate it. Any object which exists in a substratum really cannot be negated. So, but then what happens in the present case? You are perceiving the silver in this element for 4 moments or 10 moments or 10 minutes, whatever be the case. But subsequently, when there arises the Badaka Jnana or the sublating cognition, please bear in mind you are not negating silver elsewhere, in a shop or in your house. It's not the case. In the same substratum where silver appeared, in the very same substratum where silver appeared, you are negating, you are making a statement, idam rajatam, you made a statement in the first moment, and in the 5th moment, you are referring to the very same object and say, nedam rajatam, this is not silver. Now, how could this be possible if an object, because if an object should be given in perception, or if you are able to utter the statement, this is silver or this is pot, what is required is the presence of the object. That is aparokshatva. Why the Advaitins create or admit the indeterminable creation of silver? Professor R.B. was referring to Anirvachaniya Khyati yesterday. In order to account for the perceptual knowledge of silver in front of you, the Advaitins go to the extent of indeterminably creating silver in this element. So whenever an object comes, whenever you have the perception of an object, it demands or it warrants the presence of the object as such. If the object, because what do the Nayayikas say? The silver that is present elsewhere, that is presented in your cognition, or that is given to your memory, and that memory serves as a contact to give rise to the cognition. All these stories the Advaitin is not prepared to admit. If an object should be immediately known, then it is necessary that that object should be present before you. That is why the Advaitins go to the extent of admitting indeterminable creation. Anirvachaniya rajatam utpadyate tasmin kale pratibhasa kale anirvachaniya rajatasya utpattihi angikriyate advaitibhi. So as regards the perception of Rajata, we have already admitted, so Rajata exists there. In as much as I am able to perceive silver in that shell element or the disk element, there is Rajata. So when such an object has been given in perception and for 4 moments you have been perceiving that object, then how dare you negate the very same object? Because in ordinary experience we have seen there is a duster on this table. Somebody asked me the question, is there a duster on the table? Yes, there is a duster on the table. At no point of time you can say, no, there is no duster on the table. Isn't it? So, but then what do we do? In the very same substratum, you are able to negate, not only this instance, all cases of erroneous cognition, when there is a sublating cognition, the rope which has been perceived as snake, the very same rope you are negating, very same snake you are negating. This is not Nayam Sarpaha, Iyam Rajjureva. You are negating the existence of serpent in the very same substratum. So, the Advaitins, what do they conclude from this? Means, if a particular object could be negated in the substratum in which it occurs, if an object which could be negated in the very same substratum wherein it occurs, then that object has to be indeterminable or mithya. Now, how do you explain Arthapatti Pramana in the present case? What is the Upapadya and what is the Upapadaka? It is Drishtarthapatti, means you are perceiving an object and because it becomes unintelligible, you are postulating something else. So, what is that which is postulated here? So, Tatraiva Pratishidhyamanatvam, in the same substratum, negation is possible. So, this negation of silver in the very same substratum wherein it occurred, that is Tatraiva Pratishidhyamanatvam. Pratishedha means negation. Tatraiva Pratishidhyamanatvam, negation of silver in the very same substratum wherein it occurred. So, Tatraiva Pratishidhyamanatvam, this is what is Tatraiva Pratishidhyamanatvam. It would not become intelligible. That is, you are able to negate the presence of silver in the very same substratum. So, this can be possible. This can be made possible when only if you admit that Rajata as mithya. Because if an object were to exist really, then there is no question of negating it there. So, yena vina yad anupannam. Now, what is it that is being postulated? Rajatasya mithyatvam kalpyate. You are postulating the illusory nature of Rajata. Now, why? Why do you postulate the illusory mithyatva? Mithyatvam kalpyate. So, mithyatva is the upapadaka. Now, let us quickly do this upapadaka. What is the definition we gave for upapadya? Yena vina yad anupapannam tat tatra upapadyam. Yena vina means mityatvena vina yad anupapannam tatraiva pratishidhyamanatvam anupapannam. So, what becomes unintelligible here is the negation of silver in the substratum wherein it occurred. That becomes unintelligible without what? Without mithyatva of that Rajata. So, mityatvena vina tatraiva pratishidhyamanatvam anupapannam. So tat tatra upapadyam, isn't it? So yena vina yad anupapannam tatraiva pratisiddhyamanatvam anupapannam. So this is the upapadya. And through this, what do you arrive at? Yasya abhave yasya anupapattihi. That is the definition of upapadaka. Now how will you say yasya abhave yasya anupapattihi? Kasya abhave kasya anupapattihi? Mityatvasya anupapattihi. So tatraiva pratisiddhyamanattasya abhave. No, wait. Yes. Tatraiva pratisiddhyamanatva. That is the upapadya is tatraiva pratisiddhyamanatva. Mityatvasya abhave tatraiva pratisiddhyamanattasya anupapattihi. If there is no mithyatva, then you cannot negate the silver in the same substance, isn't it? Yasya abhave means, yasya abhave refers to the upapadya. Yasya abhave ratri bhojanasya abhave pinattvasya anupapattihi, isn't it? So what is it that you postulate here? Mithyatva is postulated. So yasya abhave means mithyattvasya abhave yasya anupapattihi tatraiva pratisiddhyamanattvasya anupapattihi. You cannot negate it in the same substratum. So mithyatva is the upapadaka. Mithyattvasya abhave, if you do not postulate or if you do not consider silver, shell silver to be illusory, then you cannot satisfactorily account for the negation of the silver in the same substratum wherein it occurred. So mithyatva is what is postulated in this case, where you are able to negate a substance wherein it occurred. So this is a kind of drishtartha, drishtasya arthasya. You are seeing the shell silver, you are seeing shell silver and you are negating shell silver in the same substratum. So this is a variety of drishtarthapatti. Then what is shrutarthapatti? Shrutarthapatti, either you can say shrutasya arthasya arthantara kalpanam, or from shruti text also, shokam tarati atmavit. This is a shruti text. Now what is the shoka shabda vachyartha is shoka shabda vachyasya bandha jatasya. It refers to bondage. It not only means sorrow, means bandha jata. It is transmigratory existence that is referred to by the word shoka. Shoka is one single word which refers to the transmigratory existence. So bandha jata, shokam tarati atmavit. So the atmavit, or the realized soul, he crosses the ocean of samsara. This is the just mere word meaning, dictionary meaning, that is all. Atmavit, the realized soul, he who realizes his self, he crosses, no, it's not like just like crossing through a boat or something. It requires a long process, but this is Shruti merely says shokam tarati atmavit. Now the realized soul, when it says that bandha jata, or the transmigratory existence that is being crossed, that is being overcome, or you are able to overcome the ocean of transmigration if you realize the self. So Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Atmavit means he who has realized this self. Now when the Shruti says Shokam Tarati Atmavit means, when would this become this in the Shokasya Taranam, Bandha Jatasya Taranam? This will become intelligible. Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Bandha Jatasya Samsarasya Taranam Katam Upapadyate. When would it become intelligible? Only because if this Shoka Shabdavachya Bandha Jata, if it were real, then there is no question of crossing or overcoming the ocean of samsara. So the very fact Shruti says that he who has realized his self is able to overcome the ocean of samsara means, what do I postulate? this will become that is shokasya taranam, bandhajatasya taranam. So bandhajata also it means avidya or avidya, because there is one statement, I think it is Sureshwaracharya statement. Avidyastamayo mokshaha sacha bandha udahritaha. There is a statement, avidya astamayo mokshaha. Avidya nivritti is referred to as moksha. Sacha bandha udahrita means avidya itself is referred to as shoka. Avidyastamayo mokshaha sacha bandha udahrita. So avidya is equated with bandha in Advaita. Avidyastamayo mokshaha sacha bandha udahritaha. So this avidya nivritti, or overcoming this avidya and its products, namely the bandha. Why? By whom? By a realized soul or Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Shoka Shabdavachya Avidya Nivrittihi or Avidyayaha Taranam Katam Sambhavati Kada Sambhavati. When will, how could you consider him as crossing the ocean of samsara unless and otherwise this avidya is mithya? So if it were real, then avidya cannot at all be overcome. So what is it that we postulate here? Brahma Shrutarthapatti, you have to say this upapadya and upapadaka, isn't it? Shokasya mityatvena vina or bandhajatasya mityatvena vina taranam anupapannam. Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Shoka Taranam Anupapannam. So Mithyatva Ena Vina Yad Anupapannam. Mityatvena Vina Shokasya Bandhajatasya Taranam Anupapannam. Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Shokasya Taranam Anupapannam. So mithyatva is the upapadya. I'm sorry, upapadaka. Mithyatva of what? Mithyatva of avidya or mithyatva of shoka, or the transmigratory state of existence. So yasya abhave means mityatvasya abhave, shokasya mithyatva abhave yasya anupapattihi Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Shoka Taranasya Anupapattihi. So that mithyatva is the upapadaka. Shokasya mithyatvam kalpyate. So in the case of Shruti text also, something becomes unintelligible in the absence of something. So what do you postulate here also? You postulate the mithyatva or the illusory nature of the show, that is the shokasya mityatvena, that is avidyayaha mithyat. If avidya were to be real, then at no point of time you can overcome, and all of us will not make an inquiry into the Vedanta at all, because anyway avidya, I am not going to overcome avidya, it is real. So what is the fun? Let me enjoy. So but the very fact that avidya can be overcome by Vedanta vichara, so Brahma Sakshatkaravataha Purushasya Shokasya Taranam Kada upapadyate. Shokasya mithyatvenaiva upapadyate. So mithyatva is postulated here. So these are the two types of arthapatti. Now let me quickly say how the Nayayikas include it under Kevala Vyatiriki type of Anumana. Now what is upapadya is the karana, we said. That is pinatva is the karana. And what is kalpita there? Ratri bhojana. So what becomes the result in arthapatti, or what becomes the upapadaka in arthapatti? This is a general formula. what becomes the result or upapadaka in arthapatti will become the sadhya in the anumana. Devadattaha ratri bhojanavan. Now, what is it that you have given as upapadya? Peanatva is the upapadya. Devadatta being fat can be accounted for only his eating, taking food at night. This is what we have postulated. Now, this we have to also know through inference, because if the Nayayikas do not admit arthapatti as a distinct pramana, then how these instances could be accounted for? So, they admit kevala vyatireki type of anumana. So, Devadattaha Ratri Bhojanavan, what is the hetu? What serves as the karana or arthapatti pramana will become the hetu. So, Devadattaha Ratri Bhojanavan. Why? Diva abunjanatve sati. He is very, very explanatory. Diva abunjanatve. He doesn't take food at night, food in the daytime. Diva abunjanatve sati. How is he? Peanatvat. So, what is given as arthapatti pramana or upapadya has been supplied as a hetu or the ground of inference in a kevala vyatireki anumana. So, diva abunjanatve sati. Devadatta doesn't take food at night, food at daytime, but he is fat. So, on this ground, with this as the hetu, what do you infer? You infer. You should not use the word. What do you postulate? Because we do not postulate something. We infer that Devadatta must be taking food at night. So, in all cases of wherever the Advaitins want to prove or want to postulate something through arthapatti pramana, all those can be brought under kevala vyatireki type of anumana by the Nayayikas. So, the Nayayikas, now they say yena vina yat anupapannam tat tatra upapadyam. They are able to explain this kind of unintelligibility. Yena vina yat anupapannam. Even with regard to this anumana, that is diva abunjanatve sati peenatvam ratri bhojanena vina anupapannam. Even with reference to this anumana, you can explain such a kind of statement. So, there is no need for the Advaitins to admit a distinct pramana by name arthapatti. So, what could be very well brought under, or what could be known through kevala vyatireki type of anumana can be known can be known only through arthapatti pramana for the Advaitins. Whereas, because the Advaitins have got a definite reason or reason for them not to admit kevala vyatireki anumana, because on the basis of two negative instances, vyapti between two negative instances, you come to the conclusion that the hetu is sadhya sadhaka. This the Advaitins feel a roundabout way. This logic of the Nayayikas, the Advaitins do not want to admit. So they postulate, they go to the extent of admitting a different pramana. Whereas what could be brought under kevala vyatireki type of inference need not be known through a distinct pramana. So the Nayayikas give up arthapatti as a distinct pramana. So they admit only kevala vyatireki type of anumana. So for the Nayayikas, there are only 4 pramanas, whereas for the Advaitins and the Mimamsaka school, arthapatti also is a distinct pramana. And this you see in the shloka, 42nd shloka, arthapatti pramanam nirupayati drishtam shrutam va peenatvam na sambhavati bhojanat. Drishtam, drishtarthapatti or shrutarthapatti. But somebody says that, oh, I saw Devadatta who was with me in the hostel. Perhaps Yajnadatta is reporting to Devadatta's parents. I was with Devadatta all throughout. I have never seen him eating at daytime. I don't know. He must be eating at daytime. So, drishtam shrutam va. So, drishtam shrutam. Somebody says that Devadatta is fat in spite of his being, he's not taking food at daytime. So you can give this as an example of both Drishtarthapatti or Shrutarthapatti. Drishtam Shrutam va Peenatvam na sambhavati bhojanat rite ratrau. Rite ratrau means vina ratri bhojanam. Rite means vina, without ratri bhojana. Rite ratrau bhojanat Peenatvam na sambhavati. Peenatva will not happen, will not hold good. So ratrau visheshena bhojanam kalpyate parikalpyate. So what do you postulate? Visheshena ratrau bhojanam kalpyate. You postulate that Devadatta has been taking food at night. Ratrau visheshena bhojanam parikalpyate. Drishtam iti drishtarthapattihi shrutarthapattischa ityarthapattihi dvida. It is of two types. Diva bhojanam akurvanasya. A person who does not take food during daytime. Diva bhojanam akurvanasya devadattasya. Devadatta, who is not used to taking meals at daytime. Peenatvam yada drishtam. But if he is to be seen as a fat person, Peenatvam yada drishtam yada va shrutam. Or else you are hearing about Devadatta being fat, then tada Peenatvasya peenatva anyata anupapatya. With peenatva anyata anupapannam. What is anya? It is otherwise unintelligible. What is otherwise unintelligible? Peenatva is otherwise unintelligible. Otherwise unintelligible, what are you going to presume on that ground? Otherwise, peenatvasya anyata anupapatya. What do you do? What do you postulate? Devadattasya ratrau. See this commentator. Devadattasya ratrau rahasi bhojanam. Without the knowledge of others. When all of them have gone asleep, he slowly goes to the kitchen. Devadattasya ratrau rahasi bhojanam parikalpyate. Without others' knowledge. Otherwise, oh, you have been taking food at night. Okay, I know you have to be fat. The other person, so rahasi bhojanam, without others' knowledge, he is taking food. So ratrau rahasi bhojanam parikalpyate ityubhayorapi tadeva nidarshanam. Ubhayorapi means for both drishtarthapatti as well as shrutarthapatti. Tadeva nidarshanam, the very same example can serve the purpose of both drishtarthapatti as shrutarthapatti. But we gave other two examples. Drishtarthapatti is idam rajatam and shrutarthapatti is Swakam tarati atmavit. So nidarshanam bhavitum arhati iti manvanaha aha bhojanam parikalpyate. So thinking this, he gives the example bhojanam parikalpyate iti. And then tatra upapadya upapadake vivinakti. He makes a distinction between upapadya and upapadaka. Upapadya is arthapatti pramana and upapadaka is arthapatti prama. Both we use the same word. Arthasya apattihi yasmad iti arthapattihi, arthasya apattihi arthapattihi. That refers to the prama or the valid knowledge of arthapatti. So ratri bhojana vijnanam arthapatti palam bhavet. What is the pala or the result of arthapatti pramana? Ratri bhojana vijnanam, that is the knowledge of Devadatta taking food at night. Ratri bhojana vijnanam arthapatti palam bhavet. Anyata anupapatteistu jnanam tat karanam matam. So yena vina yad anupapannam we said, isn't it? So anyata anupapatteistu jnanam. Otherwise, ratri bhojana, if you do not presume or postulate ratri bhojana, then the peenatva is anyata anupapannam. It cannot be well accounted for or it cannot be satisfactorily explained. Anyata anupapatteistu jnanam tat karanam matam. Tat karanam means ratri bhojana rupa arthapattihe upapadaka jnanasya karanam is peenatva. So ratri bhojane iti. Ratri bhojanam ratri bhojanam upapadyam it is given. You have to change it. Ratri bhojanam is upapadaka. Please change it. Ratri bhojana is not upapadya. Ratri bhojana is a printing mistake. Ratri bhojana is upapadaka. What is presumed or postulated is ratri bhojana. Peenatva anyata anupapattihi upapadika means peenatva anyata anupapattihi. Peenatva is the upapadya and peenatva will otherwise become unintelligible without what? without Ratri Bhojana. So Ratri Bhojana is the Upapadaka, it's what is presumed, and Pinatva is Upapadya. And then the last Pramana, we are in the 44th verse. The last Pramana is Anupalabdhi. We can go up to 8, 10, no, Swamiji? Now this Anupalabdhi, which is a Pramana, Anupalabdhi means Upalabdhyabhavaha. Upalabdhyabhavaha, non-cognition or non-apprehension of something. And what does it give rise to? It has been admitted to account for the perceptual knowledge of non-existence of something. So, non-existence of pot, gata abhavaha, you have the perceptual cognition, gata abhava pratyaksha. Perceptual cognition of non-existence of pot. So this is gata abhava pratyaksha. For that, what is the karana? Gata anupalabdhi, non-cognition or non-apprehension. Non-apprehension of pot gives rise to the knowledge of non-existence of pot. Gata abhava pratyaksham prati gata anupalabdhihi karanam. So this has been admitted to account for the perceptual knowledge of absence. Now what do the Nayayikas say? Professor R.B. made a mention several times about this. The Nayayikas do not admit a distinct pramana. It is the Pratyaksha pramana itself that gives rise to the knowledge of the non-existence of something also. So, what is it that gives rise to the knowledge of Gata Abhava Pratyaksha, absence of pot? Gata Abhava, how is it seen? There is a distinct type of Sannikarsha called Visheshana Visheshyabhava Sannikarsha. Visheshana Visheshyabhava Sannikarshaha. Now you perceive absence of pot on the floor and you give expression to it in two ways. There is no pot on the floor, and how could it be expressed? Either you say, in Sanskrit at least, you can say you can express it in two ways. Bhutalam gatabhavavat. This expression you cannot have in English. Bhutalam gatabhavavat. Means if you translate it literally, the floor is associated with the absence of pot. But nobody expresses it that way in English. There is absence of pot on the floor. So, bhutale gatabhavaha. But in Sanskrit, you can explain it in two ways. Bhutale gatabhavaha. And bhutalam gatabhavavat. Now, although the content of these two cognitions are one and the same, that is, you want to express the non-existence of pot on the floor, but it could be expressed in two distinct ways. Bhutalam gatabhavavat means there is absence of pot on the floor. Bhutale gatabhava also means the same bhutal, there is absence of pot on the floor. But there is a difference in these two cognitions. The content remains to be the same, but the Chakshurindriya or the sense of sight, where does it perceive or where does it comprehend the absence of pot? In the Bhutala. Because whenever you speak of an abhava, it must be related to a substratum wherein you are perceiving that absence. So sense of sight is in contact with Bhutala, bare floor, where there is Gata Bhava. So, this Gata Bhava exists in the Bhutala. Now, when you analyze this statement, any statement must refer to two factors. One is the substantive element and the other is the adjectival element. Knowledge must always refer to two factors. In any kind of knowledge, there must be, these two factors should be manifested. So when the sense of sight comprehends, and when we give rise to the, or when we express it in this way, Bhutalam Gata Bhavavatu means, this Bhutala is the substantive element in the first instance, because Bhutalam Gata Bhavat. How is Bhutala? It is possessed of Gata Bhava. So Gata Bhava, the status of Gata Bhava, that it is Prakara or the adjectival element. Take the second instance, it is Bhutale Gata Bhavaha means, here Gata Bhava is the Visheshya or the substantive element. What in any cognition, what is expressed in Prathama Vibhakti will normally be the substantive element. Now in the first case, Bhutalam is in Prathama Vibhakti, nominative case, so that is the Visheshya. In the second case, Bhutale Gata Bhavaha, Gata Bhava is in Prathama Vibhakti, so that is the Visheshya. Now at least there is a difference in these two cognitions. In one case it is Visheshya and in another case it is Visheshana, that is Gata Bhava. We are more concerned about the nature of Gata Bhava in the two cognitions. So what do the Nayayikas say? Any kind of absence can be expressed in these two ways with reference to the substratum. So if the cognition and the corresponding expression takes the form Bhutalam Gata Bhavavat, then we would think that the sense of sight which is in contact with Bhutala, which is conjoined, there is samyoga. There is samyoga between the sense of sight and the Bhutala, wherein Gata Bhava serves as the Visheshya. So, in the first case, this is, Visheshana. In the first case, Bhutalam is the Visheshya. So, if the corresponding expression takes this form, then what would be the relation through which you have comprehended Gata Bhava is Chakshu Samyukta Visheshanata. Because how is the part related to the Bhutala in your cognition? Through it serves as a Visheshana. So Chakshu Samyukta Visheshanata Sannikarsha. That Adharade Bhava Sambandha we are not very much worried. See, in that cognition, pot manifests as the Visheshya. Bhutala manifests as the Visheshya, wherein you perceive the pot as being located in the pot. So the status of Gata Bhava is Visheshana in that cognition. So Chakshu Samyukta Bhutale, Gata Bhavasya Visheshanatvat. What is the contact? Samyukta Visheshanata Sannikarshaha. And what would be the contact in the second instance? Bhutale Gata Bhava. If your cognition takes the second form, that means even there, Chakshu Samyukta Bhutale, in the floor only, you are perceiving Gata Bhava. So Chakshu Samyukta Bhutale, Gata Bhavasya Visheshanatvat, Bhutale Gata Bhava, Visheshyatvat. So the contact would be Samyukta Visheshyata. So when the Nayayikas speak of Visheshana Visheshya Bhava Sambandha, it is not na ekas sambandha. Visheshana Visheshya Bhava nama na ekas sambandha. On the other hand, you have to explain it this way: Samyukta Visheshanata or Samyukta Visheshyata. You can keep on multiplying this kind of sambandha. You can keep on saying in that is parampara sambandha. That is in Bhutala there is something, and there is something, means you can multiply or you can prolong or you can make a long kind of sambandha also with this type of abhava pratyaksha. So the point that is of relevance here is the Nayayikas have admitted by admitting the principle of economy. Principle of economy. Professor R.B. was mentioning Laghava. There is Laghava. By adopting the principle of economy instead of admitting a distinct pramana, they have given a kind of sambandha, and that sambandha itself accounts for the abhava pratyaksha. But the Advaitins have not admitted any kind of these relations. For them, there is only samyoga and tadatmya. They do not even admit samavaya sambandha, kalika sambandha, swarupa sambandha. All these kinds of relations are Naya Swakapola Kalpita. For the Nayayikas, they have admitted many kinds of Samanadikaranya sambandha or Parampara sambandha. All these can hold good in the home of Nayayikas, but not for the Advaitin. So they don't want to admit these types of relations to account for Abhava Pratyaksha. So they say we admit a distinct pramana called Anupalabdhi, which would comprehend the Gata Bhava. Now for the Advaitins also, absence of pot must be cognized in a substratum. Absence cannot be hanging in vacuum. It must be related to a substratum. So what the Advaitins say is, in as much as there is the knowledge of the substratum of non-existence of pot, sense of sight has to operate. So it is the sense organ, the respective sense organ, that has to give rise to the adhikarana. Adhikarana pratyaksham prati indriyameva karanam. So what happens in the case of Bhutale Gata Bhava? The sense of sight goes Bhutalakara manovritti, Bhutalavachinna chaitanyasya, Tadvrityavachinna chaitanyasya, Abhedaha, Bhutala Visheka Pratyaksham. Till that, there is no problem. That is, the usual process of perception takes place. So, in order to give rise to the adhikarana or the substratum of abhava, the Advaitins do admit Indriya as the pramana. But where does this Anupalabdhi step in? It steps in only the Indriyas or the Indriya Vyapara or the operation or the interaction of this sense organ. It ceases to exist. The operation of the sense organ or the functioning of the sense organ ceases to exist after giving rise to the knowledge of the bare floor, after giving rise to the knowledge of the floor rather. Now, it is Anupalabdhi, Gata Anupalabdhi, the non-cognition of pot therein on that floor, that gives rise to the knowledge of non-existence. This is where the Advaitins say that for the Adhikarana Pratyaksha, we do admit Chakshurindriya as the Karana, but in as much as it gives rise to the knowledge of non-existence, it cannot at all function. Then the sense organ cease to operate. Then it is only Gata Anupalabdhi that serves as the Karana for giving rise to knowledge of non-existence. Now, what is this Anupalabdhi and why do you admit such a kind of pramana at all? The sense organ, you can just extend the functioning of the sense organ a little more and say that itself comprehends the abhava also, because it's going to give rise, anyway it is going to give rise to the substratum, knowledge of substratum. So that itself can extend a little further and also comprehend the bare floor, or also comprehend the abhava or the absence. So the Advaitins say, no, we cannot admit. In some way or the other, I also feel that the Advaitins need not have gone to the extent of admitting Anupalabdhi Pramana, but then we have to understand what he says. Now you see, in Anupalabdhi also he says, not all kinds of absence or all kinds of non-existence could come within the range of perception. So there is what is known as Yogyanupalabdhi. Not all kinds of abhava can become perceptual, because you see there is absence of merit. Absence of merit cannot be, no, because if you speak of absence coming within the range of Anupalabdhi Pramana, then aham na dharmikaha, kashtam anubhuyamanatvat. This is only inferred. I cannot have the perceptual knowledge of the absence of merit in me. So, dharma bhavasya apratyakshatvat. So, that is why dharma anupalabdhi, dharma abhava pratyaksham prati karanam, you cannot say so. Because there is a kind of yogyata or fitness in anupalabdhi. Not all abhava or all kinds of non-existence, even the Nayayikas admit Dharma bhava, it doesn't come within the range of perception. It can only be inferred. Even merit can be inferred and demerit can only be inferred. So, Yogya Anupalabdhi, it is not mere Anupalabdhi that is the Karana. On the other hand, they say Yogya Anupalabdhihi. Now, Yogya Anupalabdhihi means you perceive the absence of pot on the floor. Now, what is this Yogya Anupalabdhi? He says, quickly I will say, that is, how do you consider that pot has got the fitness to come within the range of, or pot, the absence of pot has got the fitness to come within the range of perception, means the Pratiyogi for absence of pot is pot. So, if you are able to postulate, or if you are able to predicate the absence of this pot in a substratum where it exists, that is Tarkita Pratiyogi Sattvam. If you are able to say in a substratum where there is absence of pot, you will say Yadi Atra Gataha Syat. If pot were to exist here, Yadi Asmin Bhutale. In Bhamati, Vachaspati Mishra writes, Spita Lokavarti Bhutale, he writes. Now, you can make such a kind of predication only in a well-lit substratum, not in a dark room. So, Yadi Atra, Yadi Asmin Bhutale, Gataha Syat. If pot were to exist on this floor, then Tarhi Upalabhyeta, then it would have been perceived by me. So, Yadyasmin Bhutale Gataha Syat Chet. If pot were to exist here, then it would have been perceived by me. But pot does not exist here. There is no pot. So, Yadyasmin Bhutale Gataha Syat, and such a kind of statement, such a kind of hypothesis you can make only where there is no pot, and a pot which could come within the range of, which has got the yogyata, the fitness and the capacity to come within the range of perception. So that means you can have the knowledge of the non-existence of such objects, that is the Pratiyogi of such abhavas, which have got the capacity or the fitness to come within the range of perception, or which can be expressed in this way. Yadyasmin Bhutale Gataha Syat. Yadi Dharma Atmani Syat, Tarhi Upalabhyate. You cannot make such a postulation. And same is the case with whether it is a Stamba or Pishacha. You perceive Stanu, Stamba or Pishacha. That is Beda Pratyaksha. Stambe Pishacha Bedaha. So, Yadyasmin Stambe Pishachaha Syat, Tarhi Stambavatu Upalabhyate. It would have been seen by me just as I perceive the Stamba. Because I am not able to see that. Because I am not able to see Pishacha, so there is Pishacha Beda there. So, in Anyonya Bhava Pratyaksha and Atyanta Bhava Pratyaksha, in both cases, you must be able to predicate this kind of statement. This is what is known as Yogya Anupalabdhi. That is Anupalabdau Yogyata Nama. What means Yogyata in Anupalabdhi? There are certain objects which could be postulated, or whose presence could be postulated like this. Yadi Asmin Bhutale Gataha Syat. If he were to exist here, then he would have been perceived by me. But he does not exist. So, because I am not able to see him, he does not exist. So, this kind of postulation can be had only with reference to certain objects, not with regard to dharma and adharma. So, he says, Ata Anupalabdim Shashtam Pramanamaha Upalabdehe Abhavopi Pramanantaram Ishyate. Abhava Upalabdehe Abhava Anupalabdi. Upalabdehe Abhava means Anupalabdi. Is Pramanantara. It is considered to be a distinct Pramana. Abhava Grahanaya Iti. And for what purpose it has been admitted? Abhava Grahanaya Iti Sadayanti Iha Kechana Upalabder Iti. Gatopalabdehe Abhavaha means Gata Anupalabdihi. Gata abhavam grahayati, it comprehends gata abhava. Iti anupalabdirapi pramanantaram ishyate. Anupalabdi is also desired to be included as a pramana by the Advaitins and the Mimamsa school. Iti bhavaha. Iti kechana it is given. Sadayanti iha kechana. So he says kechana means bhattaha Advaita Vedantinaha, Advaita Vedantinascha ityartha. The Bhatta school of Mimamsakas and the Advaitins admit this as a pramana. Evam pratyakshadi pramana shatka nirupanam upasamhritya. Having concluded the 6 types of pramana, beginning with pratyaksha and ending with anupalabdhi, prameyaha sarve api, all the prameyas are the objects to be known, vyavaharika satyaha eva. So these pramanas operate only in the realm of the transmigratory state of existence or the empirical state of existence. So that is why he says vyavaharika satyaha sarvepi prameyaha, all the objects that come within the range of such pramanas, they are vyavaharika satyaha eva iti nigamayan grantam samapayati, concludes the grantha. Evam sarva pramananam vishayastu pritak pritak. The vishaya or the objects or the prameyas which are comprehended by the several pramanas which we have so far enumerated, or they are different. Pritak pritak. Vyavahara balat kalpyaha tasmat. So on what basis you have come to the conclusion that these are the pramanas? How have you concluded that these are the pramanas? Vyavahara balat. In order to account for the worldly existence, you have to, how do you comprehend? See, it is the function of logic. You have the cognition of fire in the mountain. You have the cognition of pot on the floor. You have the cognition of Gavaya, Go Sadrisha Gavaya. All these cognitions you arrive at. Now on what basis, when you go back and analyze, so it gives you an answer. Oh, these are the pramanas through which you have comprehended. So we have enlisted, yes? Not necessarily. Vyavaharat kalpyaha, arthapatti pramana also if you want. Vyavaharat, vyavahara balat kalpyaha. If it is Nayayika means it is kalpyaha means anumana. Kalpyaha tasmat te vyavaharikaha. These pramanas are considered to be vyavaharika. Even Shabda Pramana operates in the Vyavahara Dasha. So that is why it has also been included there. But strictly speaking, it is Paramarthik Tattva Vedakatvam Rupam Pramanyam. That is how it began Vishaya Paricheda. So Evam iti. Iti Sri Swayam Prakasha Saraswati Charanaravinda Samblagna Rajobhuta Achyuta Krishnananda Tirtha Krita Manamala Samapta. But then the commentator Evam iti. Vyavahara Balat Kalpyamanatvat Sarvepi Vishayaha Vyavaharikaha ityartha. Because all these pramanas relate to the transmigratory state of existence, they are considered to be Vyavaharika. All the prameyas are considered to be Vyavaharika. Ayam Bhavaha Paramarthika Vyavaharika Pratibhasika Satya Bedena. There are 3 levels of reality. Padarthaha Trida. Padarthas are, they belong to 3 levels of reality. Nirvishesham Brahma Ekameva Paramartha Sat. It is the pure consciousness which is devoid of any attributes whatsoever. Nirvishesham Brahma Ekameva. That alone is Paramartha Sat, or it is absolutely real. Why? Because it is Trikala Abhadyatvam. It does not suffer annihilation in the 3 divisions of time, past, present and future. So Trivida Paricheda Shunyatvat, Brahman alone is real. Paramartha Sat. Anye a Brahma Stamba Paryantaha. Others, leaving out Brahman, everything other than Brahman. A Brahma Stamba Paryantaha means till starting with a blade of grass and ending with Hiranyagarbha. A Brahma means, this Brahma refers to Hiranyagarbha, who is the Adi Jiva. So a Brahma Stamba Paryantaha Vyavaharikaha. Vyavaharika Sattavantaha. Even Hiranyagarbha, Indra, the status of Indra, all these are Vyavaharika. All these are Mithya rather, because it is Brahman alone that is real. These are only portfolios, just as the ministers are given. You are petroleum minister, you are this minister, all these. Yavad Adhikaraha Adhikarikanam. There is a sutra. So they will enjoy, because of their prarabdha karma, they have come to enjoy the status of Hiranyagarbha or Indra. So after they exhaust their prarabdha karma, they will become one with Brahman. So a Brahma Stamba Vyavaharika Sattavantaha Vyavahara Dashayam eva bhasante na Paramartha Dashayam. Vyavahara Dashayam api yad atyanta baditam. Even within the state of transmigratory existence or within the state of empirical existence, there are some objects which get sublated and they are yad atyanta baditam, those which get sublated, shukti rajatadi, that is the shell silver and the rope serpent, which get sublated even within the state of transmigrant, that is empirical existence, they are considered to be tat pratibhasika sat, they are considered to be apparently real. Ittam achyuta krishniyam manamala ati nirmala, he says, the commentator gives ati nirmala, it is like pellucid stream of water, crystal clear, it is a limpid stream of water. Ati nirmala manamala ati nirmala, also there is alliteration there, ati nirmala manamala ati nirmala, there is anuprasa there. Ittam achyuta krishniya manamala ati nirmala vyakhyata priyatam tena paramachyutaha swayam. Let Achyuta Krishnananda Tirtha be satisfied because it has been commented, and Achyutaha, even Lord Achyuta also, let him be pleased. Vyakhyata priyatam tena, let him also, paramachyutaha swayam, he has become one with Achyuta. Achyuta Krishnananda Tirtha is a realized soul, paramachyutaha swayam paramachyutaha, let him be pleased, and let Achyuta, Lord Krishna, also be pleased. Vyakhyata priyatam tena paramachyutaha swayam iti manamala vyakya samapta. So, yes, he has commented on several texts on Advaita. The famous is on Appaya Dikshita's Siddhantalesha Sangraha. The commentary is called Krishna Alankara. Was a Krishna Bhakta, and he has commented on Ratna Prabha also. There is Ratna Prabha Bhagav Vyakya. Krishna Alankara, this commentary is Krishna Charana Bhushana on Ratna Prabha. Krishna Charana Bhushana, that commentary is called. On Ratna Prabha, it is called Bhagav Vyakya. Ratna Prabha Bhaga, it's a portion of Ratna Prabha, not up to Ikshatya Adhikarana he has commented. Up to Ikshatya Adhikarana, that is called Achyuta Krishnananda Tirtha, and that commentary is called Krishna Charana Bhushana. See, Krishna Alankara, Krishna Charana Bhushana, he has given you such. That is why I am reminded of a shloka by Madhusudana Saraswati. That is, even the realized souls, although they have realized that Supreme Brahman, they are not able to contain themselves or resist themselves without speaking of the glory of Saguna Brahman or Sakara Brahman. They are irresistibly attracted towards the qualities of Lord, that whenever they speak of, or whenever they want to speak of even Nirguna Brahman, they are not contented. They always explain, or they always express the glories of the Lord. And Brahmanandiya, there is a commentary on Advaita Siddhi. In one portion, Madhusudana Saraswati concludes in one paricheda, Tasmat Nirgunam Brahma Siddhyati, in one chapter. The very next chapter, when he makes a beginning, Vamshi Vibhushitakaran Navanira Daban, this is the Mangala Shloka he gives. The commentator Brahmananda, when he comments on this, he says, Acharyaha Brahma Saksha. I don't get the statement. Acharyaha Swakrita Bhajana Vasanaya Sri Krishnam Stauti. Nirgunam, although he has realized Brahman, then he says Swakrita Bhajana Vasanaya Sri Krishnam. Although he has realized that Brahman, I forgot that before this today's evening, I will say. Although he has realized that Nirvishesham Brahman, Swakrita Bhajana Vasanaya Sri Krishnam Stauti. That is what even in Madhusudana Saraswati, even in the introductory verses of Gudhartha Deepika, he says, Atma Ramascha Munayaha Nirgranto Purukrame Kurvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi, because Kurvanti Ahaitukim, that bhakti does not have any phala for them. They are not going to, it is not kamya, they are not going to seek anything. Ittam Kurvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi. So, Madhusudana Saraswati, he says in one shloka, Dhyanabhyasa Vashikritena Manasa Yen Nirgunam Nishkriyam Jyotik Kinchana Yogino Yediparam Pashyanti Pashyantute. This is what they say. He says that he is not a Brahma Sakshatkara Purusha. That is how it appears. He says, Dhyana Abhyasena Vashikritena Manasa, with such a mind, Yen Nirgunam Nishkriyam Jyotihi Kinchana Yoginaha Pashyanti Pashyantute. Yediparam Pashyanti. Let them realize such a Brahman. Yediparam Pashyanti Pashyantute. But for us, Asmakam tu, he says, Asmakam tu Tadeva Lochana Chamatkaraya. That gives happiness to our eyes. Asmakam tu Tadeva Lochana Chamatkaraya Bhuyachiram Kalindi Pulinodare Kimapiyan Neelam Maho Davati. It goes here and there with a black and blue hue. It keeps wandering in the Yamuna Tira. So, Asmakam tu Tadeva Lochana Chamatkaraya Bhuyachiram Kalindi Pulinodare Kimapi. There he says Kimapi and Neelam. There he is not able to explain the all glory of Lord. Kimapi and Neelam. This is Anirvachaniya. Kimapi and Neelam Maho Davati. So, even though they are realized souls, they are not able to contain themselves because Swakrita Bhajana Vasanaya Sri Krishnam Stauti. So, this is the greatness of our Acharyas. So, with this I conclude. I am really grateful to you for giving me this opportunity. So, thank you very much. So, we will utter Shanti Shloka. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.